Hi, welcome or welcome back. I am Literary MADMAX, and today we are going to be picking out our horror bingo TBR. Wicked Reading put this on last year. It was very fun, and she's doing it again this year. I really think that Sarah and I's tastes align, so that's how I kind of initially found her, but this is kind of a spin off of the r/fantasy bingo board. It's fun to have a horror one. Horror is one of my main genres, and I'm just excited to pick it out. I will be giving some recommendations and stuff too for each prompt if you need more ideas. There's a storygraph challenge that I put up, and it's the one that Sarah is using, so there are recommendations there. I know there's not a lot of videos like TBRs so far, so if you need to take anything from my TBR, please do that and let me know what you take. The first prompt is published in 2025. This would include a book that is published in your language in 2025, and then there are hard modes like there are in the r/fantasy bingo board, and this one is to read it before 2025 is over, so you still have a few months. I am going to be reading The Graceview Patient by Caitlin Starling. This is kind of like a fever dreamy amnesia hospital horror. I'm very excited about it. I really enjoyed the Caitlin Starling that I read earlier in the year, so I'm hoping that this one is the same. I have read so many 2025 releases this year, so many 2025 horror releases, and I've loved a lot of them. So I do have 4 to recommend you for this prompt, which is more than I'm going to be doing for other squares, but I could not pick and choose. So the one that I enjoyed earlier this year by Caitlin Starling is The Starving Saints. This is kind of a medieval fantasy horror. It's very fever dreamy as well, and it's sapphic, and there's B-math involved. I love this one. It's absolutely not for everyone, but I love it. I love it, and I think you should read it. And there's A Burial Tide by Neil Sharpson. This is a folklore Irish horror. It's an isolated setting set on an island about a woman who wakes up buried in a coffin, and the people on the island tell her what her life is, and she just thinks it's not quite right. It's so good. I love Neil Sharpson. I don't know how he writes female rage so well, but he does. Then we have Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang. This is going to be a favorite of the year for a lot of people. This is about a crime scene cleaner who sees the ghost of her sister and is trying to figure it out. Also, well, the COVID pandemic is happening, and a lot of people are very, very racist against people who look Asian. So she's just dealing with all of that stuff and trying to navigate it at all. And finally, we have what is my favorite Isabel Cañas, The Possession of Alba Diaz. This is so good. This is the most horror forward. It is the Isabel Cañas formula in that it is historical. There is a very big romance aspect, and she is taking a specific horror trope, but I love it and I eat it up every time. They always feel unique enough for me to be very excited about the story. And again, this one is the most horror forward by far. There's still a romance plot, but the horror is at the forefront of the story, and I really enjoyed my time with this book. Okay, prompt 2 is mixed media. What I'm going to be picking is so that I can achieve hard mode, because hard mode is 3 or more types of media, and I felt like that was kind of difficult. I couldn't think of a book that I read that would fulfill hard mode, but one that I am pretty positive does is The House of Leaves by Mark Danielewski. This is technically, if you water it down, a haunted house story, but it's a lot more than that. It is a reading experience from what I know. There are like just very odd pages. Okay, that one looks normal, but like, and it's a process to read it. It's not like just sit down and pop in an audiobook kind of book, but I'm very excited about it. I'm nervous. I am thankfully buddy reading this, so I think it will go better for me than if I was trying to do this by myself. I'm sure there's a lot of like forums and stuff online. It's a bit of a cult classic. I'm hopeful that I can read this and it will only take me a month, and I will enjoy my time while I'm doing it. As far as mixed media goes, I don't know that any of these would work for hard mode, but they would work for just like if you're doing the regular bingo board. There is The Pallbearers Club by Paul Tremblay. This has journal entries in it, and not only are there journal entries, the journal entries are annotated. I would count that as 2. But again, would not work for hard mode. A lot of people don't like this book, but it is one of my favorite horror books of all time. It feels like classic kind of 90s, 80s rom-com, but also there's a horror aspect to it, and you have to finish it to get there. It's so good. It's so unique. And then there's Fantastic Land by Mike Bakoven. This is about a bunch of people who get stuck due to weather at like a Disneyland-esque type of situation, and very quickly they devolve into these gangs almost. Even though they're not there for that long, they just kind of go nuts, and there's interviews in between each chapter or most chapters, yeah, they're all interviews. So that would count as one. And I think there's also like newspaper articles and stuff, but I'm not sure that there are 3. There's an interview, a letter, and an author's note. I don't know if you could count that as 3. If you're really looking to stretch something, this could work for that. And then We Used to Live Here by Marcus Kluwer. This is so good. People like this for a reason. I had such an excellent time. And it was originally written on the No Sleep subreddit, and it's about a woman who lets people into her home because the man says that he used to live here. So that's, I'm not victim blaming, but I am maybe victim questioning. But this is really fun, especially if you want to get tinfoil hatty about something. For indie or self-published, I had more recommendations than I thought I was going to, but for what I'm picking, I'm going to be picking Cirque Berserk by Jessica Guess. I know that Lexi from Books with Lexi really likes this one. This is about a local carnival where a group of teens get killed and they're trying to investigate it. It sounds really good. I love the cover. The cover is so good, but this is unfortunately out of print, so I was really excited to get my hands on a copy for like a normal price, not like an exorbitant amount of money. But you can still get the ebook, I'm pretty sure. And it's just a little guy. This is under 200 pages, so it should go really quick. I might save it for next summer because like circus horror, that feels summer to me. And I have some suggestions for you. The hard mode for indie or self-published is a new to me author, so that is a new to me author. If you need a new to you author, someone who I really love is Meg Smitherman. She does this like sci-fi horror romance kind of mix in all of her books, and this is my favorite one. It's so good. It's so unsettling, and I believe as long as you're not in the UK, this is still self-published. If the lighting looks wildly different, it's because my camera died, but I think I remember where I'm at. So, more self-published books. Anything by David Sodergren is self-published. His little Paperbacks and Pugs is just him. And The Horror is by far my favorite. It's one of my favorite books of all time. It's so good. And if you like a romantic horror, but one that is also still definitely, obviously, horrifically horror, that's this one. So good. Love it so much. And also we get an older protagonist, which we don't always in like slasher style horror books. Jawbone by Monica Ojeda and Anything by Monica Ojeda, but this is the only one that I've enjoyed. This is kind of like horror of girlhood, very weird, very dark, and I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite weird girl books. And then right now, Shy Girl by Mia Ballard is still self-published. It won't be next year, I think, as of April. And then Sugar, also by Mia Ballard, is self-published, and I don't think that it's going to become traditionally published. At least we don't know that yet. So for now, these two are. I haven't read Shy Girl yet, and I was a little bit worried about it becoming traditionally published just because I love this cover so much. The new cover does eat though, so I'll allow it. But I haven't read Shy Girl yet, so not a recommendation yet, but I don't think I'm going to be able to fit it into this bingo board, but I do hope to read it within the next calendar year, so hopefully it's good. I know Jan really likes this one. For paranormal, that's very like broad, vague, a lot of options, but the hard mode makes it a lot harder, and the paranormal needs to be a ghost hunter or something is like the main story, the main protagonist. So I will be picking up episode 13 by Craig DeLuey. I did not previously enjoy the book that I read by Craig DeLuey, but I'm hoping to like this one a lot better. This is like a podcast situation. This would also probably work for mixed media, honestly, but I'm using it because the podcast is about ghost hunting, I'm pretty sure, so I think it'll work for this one. The only recommendation that I can think of is Meddling Kids by Edgar Quintero. It's like a Scooby-Doo AU, so that's literally what they do, and I think that it would work for the hard mode for this square. I can't think of really any other books that I've read where they're specifically ghost hunters. Oh, actually, Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue. The female main character is a ghost hunter, I think. She's really bad at it and super frustrating, though. I like the series as a whole, just not so much the first book, but it would count for the square for hard mode. And then Stolen from Another TBR. The only TBR that I've seen so far is Sarah's. I'm sure there's other ones, and I think that there's a playlist that you can check, but the one that I am stealing from Sarah's, I am trying to do as many of these as possible from my physical TBR, and one of the only ones that I saw that I'm interested in that's on my physical TBR is The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling. I'm really excited to get to this. Water horror is super effective for me. It freaks me out going too deep. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, you don't have to be there. So it does really stress me out. And I know there's a water horror square, but I have a different one picked out for this. I'm really excited to finally get to this. I know it's also sapphic, and I think this is one of her more highly rated books, so I'm hoping that it's for me. And I'm not trying to do too many author repeats. I think that I'll probably get to another 2025 horror release before the end of the year, and maybe I'll switch out The Grace to Be Patient for something else, but for now, it's there. As far as vampire books go, I realized I lean a lot more into the fantasy or like paranormal romance realm when I pick up and enjoy vampire books. I didn't have much on my shelf as far as horror books that were vampire books. The only one that I did find was Blood Slaves by Marcus Redmond, but I'm using this for a different square, so I'll talk about it then. But I think I'm going to pick up Burial Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I know that this really isn't horror, but it was kind of the only option that I had, and I think it's a little gothic, and I think that there are probably like darker or horror elements to it. So I'm hoping that I can count it for this square, and maybe I'll find a different vampire book, or maybe I have one that I forgot about that I can count for this square instead. But for now, I will be following 3 women in 3 different timelines, all being vampires. This is a story about hunger. This is a story about love. This is a story about rage. This is a story about life, how it ends and how it starts. So I am really excited to read this book. It's an anticipated 5-star for me, and I'm hopeful that it is. I know that it doesn't best fit like the horror bingo spirit, but it's what's in my square for now. I do have a couple recommendations for you though. Coffin Moon by Keith Rawson just came out. This rocks. This is so good. I cried. It was really bloody and gory still, and I was super intrigued by what was going to happen. It stressed me out a lot. And Keith Rawson is such a nice man from the couple times that I've seen him speak. He signed my book. He did a little doodle. It's so cute. I got the arc from a publisher, and it was the first arc he signed. It was like before it came out, and he was just really excited to see it, and I think that's really cool when an author is like still excited about their books. So I'm recommending this because I like the story and because I'm a Keith Rawson stan as of right now. And then the other vampire book on like a very different end of the spectrum is Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. The vampires in this book aren't really like sentient. They're more like a monster, like a folklore monster, and this is very focused on the estranged friends to lovers part of the plot, but there also is definitely a horror aspect to it. I would say that this is the most romantic versus horror out of all of Isabel Cañas, but I did really like it. Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. This is a historical horror, but it's still so good. I liked it a lot, and I think you should kind of go into this more blind than not. It is Stephen Graham Jones though, and I really liked it. Okay, for water setting, I will be picking The Deep by Nick Cutter. I can't find my copy, but I know I still have it somewhere in my house. But The Deep is about a group of researchers that are like off the coast, and like I think it's miles below the surface, and they're doing some kind of research to save the world, and obviously Nick Cutter gets very gory, very horror. But the books that I have to recommend to you, these are 2 of my favorite horror books probably ever. I think they're the scariest that I read, and also they're both happen to be water horror. The first one is by Darcy Coates, and that's From Below. It's about a documentary crew that go to this shipwreck and are trying to do a documentary about it, but things start happening. They don't know if they can trust their eyes. And we also get the timeline of the ship while it was getting wrecked. It was very stressful and not entirely like surprising with where it went, but I remained stressed regardless, and I enjoyed my time with it. And then the other book that is water horror, this is one of my favorite horror books of all time. I love recommending it to people. I think that it's so unique and so interesting. The way that Mira Grant writes horror and the science that she puts into it and the pseudoscience that she puts into it that feels so real, I love it. And Into the Drowning Deep is about killer mermaids and this crew that is trying to prove that mermaids exist. And we follow a lot of different people, but everyone is frustrating in their own way, and the mermaids are absolutely terrifying. This is so good. It feels kind of like an inevitable horror, and I enjoyed that sense of dread. It's so good. Then for horror movie element, I was thinking about picking up the one by Craig DeLuey, but I was trying really hard to stick to books that I had on my physical TBR. I'm not super into like music, like rock and roll, celebrity, or movie horror, really. That's not what I'm interested in reading. But I am once again stretching a prompt to count this. Silver Nitrate by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. One, I think that this is a little bit more thriller, and I think the movie aspect of it isn't really about horror movies, but it is about the movie industry. Oh no, this is about a cult horror director. Okay, this absolutely counts then. It totally works. Perfect. This is probably the only book on my entire TBR that will work for it, so at least I have something. And Sylvia Moreno Garcia has been a little bit more hit or miss for me than I would like her to be, but I own it, so I will be taking a chance on it, and this cover is so good. That monochromatic situation she has going on, excellent. And then my recommendations for you are Stephen Graham Jones. He has a few books. I Was a Teenage Slasher. They really rely on slasher tropes to figure out what's going on in this book. This is my favorite Stephen Graham Jones, which is a controversial opinion, but it is the best one. And then the other one is My Heart is a Chainsaw. This is a trilogy, and specifically in this one especially, we get a lot of like horror movie facts. The main character, Jade, really relies on that and the final girl trope to just kind of figure out what's going on and stop the horror that's happening. So definitely recommend both of these, especially this one is my favorite. And then if you've read those before, Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay, which I don't like as much as Pallbearers Club, but they are very similar in their horror, so that would be my recommendation. This is about a man who goes back to a reboot of the movie that he was in when he was a teen. A big tragedy happened. Most of the original people that were in it are dead or dying, and he is helping to reboot it kind of begrudgingly, and I think that it does have a pretty good twist in it, but I had read it too close to Pallbearers Club, so it felt a little repetitive to me. And then the other one is Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. This is mostly about the bury your gaze trope, but it's about a director who is forced to kill off his gay characters and he doesn't want to, and then all of his horror ideas come to life and he has to figure out how to stop them. And it's very stressful and very fun. Chuck Tingle has such a fun, gory horror style, and I'm really enjoying it. I've read this and Lucky Day, and I'm excited to get to more of his horror. I haven't entered the other side of the Tingleverse, but we'll see. Okay, spell ghost or scare using the letters of the title and the author's name. And the hard mode is that the author is BIPOC, so Black or Indigenous. And I will be picking up a Stephen Graham Jones. Anything by Stephen Graham Jones works because his name works for this one, for scare. And I will be picking up The Last Final Girl. I'm very excited to get to this. I am trying to get to most of his backlist next year, and I'm hopeful that I can do that. He has a lot of like stuff pre The Only Good Indians, and I don't think a lot of people have checked it out, so I am recommending anything by Stephen Graham Jones for this square, first of all, and I will be picking up this. I didn't really think about recommendations for this, but I'm going to look at the story graph prompts really quick. Some people are cheating by having just like ghost in the name and stuff. Bat Eater and Other Names for Corzing, A Head Full of Ghosts, and When the Wolf Comes Home are 3 books that I see in this. I'm not fact-checking that, but I loved all of those if you're looking for recommendations that I have enjoyed. Okay, for Liminal Spaces, I know, or I believe, for Liminal Spaces, I think The House of Leaves would work, but also I don't know that because I haven't read it. And then The Haunting of Velkwood would definitely work by Gwendolyn Keist. This is about a portion of a street where it's like stuck in time, and it's very like hard to go in and out if you don't belong there. I didn't love this book, but it would absolutely work for this prompt, and I know a lot of people have really enjoyed this book, so that's kind of my recommendation for this space. The book that I will be picking up is The Black Farm by Elias Witherow, and I know that this is a very, very bleak, dark book. This is after the loss of a couple's child, they decide to end their lives and end up kind of in this like purgatory, and the husband sets out to find his wife because they got separated in this as well, and there's just like all of these nightmares where they are. I think they're in hell. I've heard really good things about it though. I am both excited and scared. Hard mode for Liminal Spaces is that the book has an even number of pages. I kind of just really want to read this book, so I am going to read it regardless. This book doesn't have like a consistent amount of pages, so I'll have to look it up. The next 2 squares are Library Book and Picked by Chance. I won't be picking those right now, and I can't really give you recommendations for that. It's kind of, I don't know what's at your library, and I can't randomly pick it for you. The Library Book hard mode is that you return it on time or in a timely manner. That should be fine. And Picked by Chance is that there are 10 or more possibilities. I'm probably just going to do a spinner wheel with 10 or more possibilities, probably horror books that are on my physical TBR but aren't on the board yet. So you'll see that at some point. Okay, a book you've been putting off. I also can't pick that for you, but I can pick it for me. And this was a really easy one. I have put Goblin by Josh Malerman on so many TBRs, intended to read it so many different times, and it's finally time. It's going on this bingo board. I'm going to get a blackout bingo board, and I will be reading this. It's 6 novellas to tell one story, I believe. And I still haven't read anything by Josh Malerman, so it's extra overdue. I am really excited about it. I love this cover. I'm excited to read it. I haven't really heard a ton of things about it specifically. And then the hard mode is to make it the first book that you read for the bingo board. So this will probably be one of the first books that I read in October, because I want to put some other things on the bingo board in October, I think. So actually, I'm getting to it sooner rather than later shelf. So LGBTQ plus rep, I will be picking up Camp Damascus by Chuck Dingle. This is about not a concentration camp. What are they called? A conversion camp. And I love the cover. I've never really realized that's a mouth. But I think most of Chuck Dingle's horror books focus on queerness and the queer experience, so those would be good picks. Anything by Andrew Joseph White is a good pick. Anything by C.G. Drews would be a good pick. Trang Than Tran, just as an author, would be a good pick. Probably River Solomon. I'm naming authors, but like it's their whole bibliography that would be good to pick from. And then I'm obviously picking up another Chuck Dingle, so very excited for this one as well. Buddy read. Luckily, this is super, super easy for me. It can be you and just a friend, or it can be a whole book club, and then the hard mode is to participate in a discussion. Luckily, I run a horror book club, so this is super easy for me. Next month, we are reading Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury, so that will probably be my pick. I don't know why I would need to use it for another square, but this will be happening 12 times for me in the next year that this bingo board is active, so that's very exciting. And if you really, really need something and don't know when else you're going to get to do it, I usually talk about the pick in my TBR videos, and in October we're reading Something Wicked This Way Comes. I don't know that you could do it for hard mode because it's an in-person book club, but that option is there for you if you would like it. A book that is recommended to you either by a friend or online book person, hard mode. It is out of your comfort zone, whether because of format or subgenre. The 3 books that I'm going to recommend to you, if you need one for this square, are Monstrilio by Gerardo Serrano Cordova. I'm going to talk about this for another square, so I'm not going to tell you the synopsis. The Burial Tide by Neil Sharpson. I've already talked about this one. Please read it. I'm not going to synopsis it again. And then The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. I'm going to talk about this in a different square. I'm not going to synopsisize it for you right now, but I am recommending it to you. And then a book that I'm picking is a book that was recommended to me a long time ago by Sarah. She is on TikTok. You should go follow her if you feel like it. She's great and reads a lot of different things. But I will be reading Blood of the Sinner by Deathly Rose. This is a novella about religious trauma, it looks like, and it's more of like an extreme horror, which is a little bit outside of my comfort zone as far as genre. I've only read a couple books I would call extreme horror, and I didn't love them, so definitely not like super comfortable for me. And a novella that I will be reading, I have a few right now actually, just sitting on my shelves, but the one that I'm most excited about is We All Rot Eventually by Mia Ballard, and it's 2005 and Alexa wants to be famous. It's basically about what somebody will do to become famous. The cover is so good and I'm very excited about it, and I know a couple people in the booktube space have read it recently and enjoyed it, so I'm also anticipating to really like it. Planty Eco Nature is the next square, and then the hard mode is that the cover includes nature elements. I feel like they go pretty hand in hand, so that's pretty easy. But the book that I'll be picking up is A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock. Ooh, Andrew Joseph White blurbed it. It is an unusual thing to live in a botanical garden, but Simon and Gregor are an unusual pair of gentlemen. Hidden away from the disapproving tattle of Victorian London, they are free to follow their own interests without interference. For Simon, this means working his taxidermical art. Gregor's business is exotic plants, lucrative but harmless enough, until his latest acquisition, a strange fungus which shows signs of intellect beyond any plant he's seen, inspires him to attempt a masterwork, true intelligent life from plant matter. This should be disgusting. I'm very excited about it. And then I don't think I grabbed any books to recommend to you, but sorry editing Madison, you're just going to put pictures in. A House with Good Bone by T. Kingfisher. Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Romano Garcia is about fungus. I guess Paradise Rot would work by Jenny Hall. I didn't love that one. There's a lot of botanical and eco horror that's, I think, becoming a more popular subgenre, but those are some ones that I've read and liked, except for Paradise Rat. There's just a lot of pee in that one, guys. Like, I'm just not into pee, okay? And then the next one is title includes a verb, and hard mode is that the book is a backlist. So I think that's why I ended up picking this one. One that I would say is backlist or like not super popular is Knock Knock Open Wide by Neil Sharpson. This is so good, and if you're like a theater kid, this could also really work for you. It is Irish folklore, and knock is a verb. Knock. Also open. Lots of verbs in this one. And then one that's not a backlist, so it wouldn't work for hard mode, but I did really like, is Eat the Ones You Love. Eat is a verb. Love could be a verb. And this is also just really good. It's about a sentient plant called Baby who is in love with his owner and will do anything to have her to himself. And it's just fun. I liked it a lot. The book that I'll be picking up is The Whispering Dead by Darcy Coates. Darcy Coates is another author that I would like to read a lot of their backlist next year. They write like 5 books a year. That's dramatic. That's what's in this one. And this one, out of 5 in this series so far, I think they're like cozier. There's little cats on the chapter headers. So excited to get to this. Whispering is a verb. And then second chance is read a book that you're giving a second chance to. It could be based on the author, the subgenre, format, style, a book you previously did not finish, or something else. And the hard mode is that it has an odd number of pages. I'm not going to really concern myself with that hard mode. But the book that I will be picking up is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. When I was like 15, 16, I read Carrie by Stephen King. It was my first Stephen King, and I was like, wow, I didn't know books could be like this. I didn't know horror could be like this. I loved it. And I think it was specifically because Carrie was a high school girl. I don't know, liked the story. It felt more relatable to me. I don't know if that's necessarily the right word, but it's the word I'm going with. And then I picked up another book by Stephen King, and I picked up Pet Sematary, but it's from the perspective of a middle-aged man. I was like, this is boring. I don't want to read from the perspective of a middle-aged man, but I'm going to try it again. I have liked other Stephen King. I have not liked other Stephen King, so we'll see. For animal on the cover, I didn't grab a ton for you because I think that's pretty easy. The Library at Hellebore is one that I've enjoyed this year though, and it has a bug on it, so I think it would count for this. I think bugs count as animals. One that I will be picking up is One Yellow Eye by Lee Radford. It has snakes on it, and it's a zombie story. It's about someone and their partner gets the zombie virus, and they're trying to figure out a cure for it before their partner really succumbs to this virus. Kind of a classic zombie story, but I've heard really good things about it, and I love this cover. The cover is so good. I think it's gonna make me cry, and sometimes I like that in my horror. One word title, pretty self-explanatory, but then hard mode is the cover is colorful and not black. That is so much more difficult than I thought it was going to be. What I have to offer you is Bunny by Mona Awad. This is pink primarily. I know there's a lot of black on it, but I would call this cover pink, and therefore I think it would count. This is about a bunch of MFA students turn bunnies into desirable men. And it gets very bloody and gory, like more than you expect it to. And then Sundial by Catriona Ward. I love Catriona Ward. This is about a mother who takes her daughter to the desert where she grew up, and her childhood was horrific, and we just learn more about that. Definitely a colorful cover. This is definitely darker, but I would say that it's mostly like pink and purple, not black, so it would count. And then Monstrillo by Gerardo Serrano Cordova is about a couple who lose their son, and then her mom, because of this like folklore story that she knows, takes a piece of her dead son's lung and turns it into Monstrillo. And just kind of being queer and being yourself is like the big overarching theme of this story. It is so good. It is unfortunately a debut, and it's the only thing this author has written, but I can't wait to read more from them. This is one of my favorite books of all time. It's so good. You do need to read it, and it would count for this prompt. It's very colorful. And then the book that I will be picking up for one word title, and I will be achieving hard mode with this one, is Chlorine by Jade Song. I'm very excited about it. This is about a young woman who is in high school, is a swimmer, and thinks she's turning into a mermaid, or wants to turn into a mermaid. Something along those lines. And very colorful, very much not a black cover, so fulfills the prompt. For debut book, read a book that is the first book published by an author, and the hard mode is that the book is their only released work. so they're a debut author. I get it, I understand. And the book that I'll be picking up is I'll Make a Spectacle of You by Beatrice Winifred Eicher. I'm not super sure what this is about, and I don't really care to learn the synopsis. I know that I'm excited about it though. And I am hopeful that it will be a new 5-star book for me. Number 24, so we're almost there, is Works with Another Goal, a book that helps personal reading goal, reading challenge, or readathon. And hard mode is that the overlap is within the YouTube community, and you share the event in the comments of the announcement video. So the book that's overlapping for me is going to be the Buzzword Readathon. I don't think that it needs more press than it already does, but I will be leaving that in the announcement video, and I will be reading The Works of Vermin by Erin Ennis. I'm so excited about this. It is about a guy that has to kill this giant worm in order to save his sister. I'm stoked. And I really liked Leech last year, so I'm anticipating really enjoying this one as well. Okay, finally, Social Commentary, a horror book that has themes surrounding social issues, racism, homophobia, poverty, mental health, addiction, gender equality, etc. And then the hard mode is that the author is in a marginalized group. A couple that I can recommend to you are You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White, but please look up your trigger warnings. This one is one of the most horrific books I've ever read. And then The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. This deals both with racism and misogyny, so definitely counts for that. And I love this book. The book that I will be picking up is Blood Slaves by Marcus Redman. This is a vampire story. Enslaved people have to decide whether or not to become vampires in order to achieve their freedom and revenge. I'm very excited about this. I've heard really good things, and I can't wait to get to it. That is my Bingo TBR. I hope the suggestions were helpful. I'm very excited to participate again. Thank you to Sarah for setting up this whole thing. I think that it's very fun. The horror community needs more events. It absolutely does, so I'm very excited about it. And thank you so much for being here. If you made it this far, either leave me a book that is going on your horror Bingo TBR, or leave me a mermaid emoji for chlorine, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!